皆さん、ようこそ、今はの国へ、ゲームを始めましょう。私は、まだおちんちんが大好きです。Alright, Alice in Borderland dropped on September 25th of 2025, and that was the next big target on my watch list since Squid Game just vanished into thin air. And now that I finished it, it's time for me to make that young character tier list. Before I get started, a big thank you for those of you that came back to listen to me yap. I really appreciate it. And if you're new, then welcome. I'm gonna save my thoughts on the show at the end of the video as always, but for now, let's dive into the characters. Before we dive in though, let's warm up with some metrics and tier explanation. Here is the list of the criteria that I'll be considering. Number 1, how much I like the character. Pretty straightforward, whatever the reason may be, it's my overall attachment and enjoyment of the character. Number 2, how unique or interesting is this character? Kinda tied into the first criteria, but basically, does this character stand out? Are there any interesting concepts regarding this character? Do they capture my attention well when they are on screen? Shit like that. And number 3, does this character make sense? Pretty simple as well. Does this character flow well, or do parts of their writing not make sense? If they do appear in Season 2, does it tie well from Season 2 to Season 3? Now I'm gonna be completely honest, these characters were just mid. Straight mid. If I really wanted to, I'd put literally almost every single character in C tier, but I would imagine that won't be a very interesting video. So instead, D tier will be for characters that I truly don't give a single fuck about, to the point where I just scrapped the entire criteria I just mentioned, didn't care for them at all. If you like them, oh well, boo-hoo, but chances are not a single fucking person will care for the characters I put in here anyway, so moving on. C tier is the more mid tier. Like, they're mid, but they're a little bit more mid, you feel me? Basically, they're just not that good of a character. B tier is the true mid tier. Like, yeah, they were kinda chill for the most part, but still mid, if that makes sense. A tier is for the not as mid. They were mid, but I'll be honest, I like them a little more than the rest of the squad type shit. And then S tier is for the characters that were actually cool and not mid. So just to reiterate, this tier list is not using the same standards as the one I used for the first Alice in Borderland tier list. One thing though is that just like last time, no judging based on looks. If I make a comment on their appearance, just know that that's not affecting how I rank them in this tier list. Alright, I loosely ordered the characters below based on their appearance order and how much they are connected in the show. So let's first get started with my glorious queen, An. So prior to Season 3, An was one of my favorite characters in the series because she was pretty badass. So when she first appears in Season 3, I was like, hey, good to see you again. She first pulls up to Arisu and is like, yo, do you remember me? I swear on my life I know you. And Arisu's like, excuse me, miss? Who the fuck are you? And then she mentions how they all knew each other in a different world, aka the Borderlands, talking about how she knows some drug that could take people there. And at first Arisu's like, what the hell, I'm only an intern. This is beyond my expertise. And then when Usagi disappears, he goes straight back to her like, alright, hook me up with the drugs. So yeah, she injects him and helps him go back to the Borderlands. And that's about it. Would have been cooler if she went with him since she's the one who said that she wants to know if they could go back or not. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Still cool that she made an appearance, so she'll go to B tier. Alright, next up is Ikeno, who was that one dude in the Humans vs. Zombies game. He was only in that one game, so not much screen time for him, but he had some screen presence, I can't even lie. He's on board with Rei's whole plan at first, but halfway through he's like, fuck this, let's just slime all the zombies. His tone and the way he delivered his lines were good, but bro, you gotta stop whispering in people's ears all the time. Like, you can just talk to them normally, you know? And then later, he gets fucked over because Arisu's Giga Brain play leads to the human L, and he's like, are we dead ass? And dies. He was cool for the time being, but besides that, nothing else much about him, so he'll go to B tier as well. Alright, next up is this femboy that was next to Ikeno during the zombie game. Not sure why he's even in this tier list. He didn't really do anything besides be a sidekick. Straight up didn't even know the dude's name. I had to go on the depths of TikTok to find out. So yeah, he's going to D tier. Next up is Mr. Yaba Dabadoo over here. One question I have for the writing team is, why the hell did you even bring this guy back if you're gonna give him like 4 lines? He was in Season 2. He was in the promotional pictures and in the trailers for Season 3, so I was expecting some kind of character development, but nah, the dude is just chilling in the Borderlands aura farming with this suit that he never took off since the Jack of Hearts game in Season 2. D tier, simple enough. Okay, moving on, we have Mr. Banda over here. And oh man, don't even get me started on this motherfucker. I'll get to the few positives out of the way first by saying that I appreciate that he's just like the character we see in Season 2 in terms of tone and behavior. It really stands out as he's this cold, emotionless villain who plots and schemes to get his way. And that's it. That's the end of the positives. So based on the trailers and shit, we kinda expected him to be the main villain of Season 3, maybe be the Joker. And considering the fact, he was not that impressive. First of all, why does this dude want Arisu back in the Borderlands so fucking bad? Like, he really wants to say Gex with him. Jokes aside, he desperately wants to run ranked duo cube in the Borderlands with Arisu. And I'm just like, bro, just fucking play with Mr. Yaba Dabba Doo over here. Maybe then he'll have more than 4 lines in the show. Why you gotta mess with my boy Arisu and his wife? Like, it makes absolutely no sense for him to be so obsessed with Arisu, considering the fact that they've never even met. If anything, he should want Chizuya back, since Chizuya outplayed everyone in that Jack of Hearts game, and Banda directly witnessed that. Also, why aren't you playing any of the games? I thought you wanted to play with good players. Or is he trying to be like Adam Silver and just create the National Borderlands Association or some shit, create his own league and have Arisu be the face of the league? Would have been a lot more interesting if he was actively a part of one of the games, instead of being the Squid Game recruiter and just randomly showing up every now and then. Also, the end was kind of dumb. Like, he wanted Arisu to stay in the Borderlands, but after seeing him, he's like, wait, hold up, I forgot I'm a serial killer, and just pulls a gun on him. If he is just a crazy psycho, then I guess the character concept could be explained. But another question I have for this dude is that how is this guy even going back and forth between the Borderlands and the real world? I thought if you choose to be a citizen of the Borderlands, you're just perma-stuck there. There is no secular logical explanation to this character. If you want to explain it in the comments, go ahead, but that probably won't change my perception of this character. I won't put him in D tier because he still has some type of substance, but he's definitely not anything above C tier. Alright, next up is this dude with the glasses. So yeah, I imagine most people don't really care for this dude. Like, yeah, you had your fun with the main character squad. Then somewhere along the lines you became a zombie and got shot. Oh well, D tier. Moving on. Alright, next is Shion, who's the girl that got shot in the leg by the arrow. I ain't gonna lie, she a little cutie. But I also found out that this actress is the wife of Karebe's actor, so I might need to chill before he socks my ass in the face. Also found out she's a Korean-Japanese actress. Her name is Hyunni if you guys care. But anyways, back to the character. So yeah, she's a part of the main squad with Arisu. I will say I'm cool with most of the people in Arisu's team, including her. She had good vibes and was pretty cooperative. During the can kicking game, she yeets the can to Arisu and someone pushes Arisu out, resulting in the can exploding due to impact. I really did not like how they just kept adding random rules as the games went on. Like, how the fuck were the players supposed to know that? Anyway, she also had that strat where she told Tetsu to take the fake cans. That was smart. And then she unfortunately explodes in her attempts to take the can back. Respect to her for trying her best even with her nerfed legs. Could have been developed more, but she was decent. I'll put her in B tier. Alright, next up is Natsu, who's the sidekick chick that kept glazing Shion, calling her big sis. She was also kinda cool, I guess. She didn't start off too well with the Fortunes game. Like, the question that she got was absolute bullshit, talking about how much blood is required to make 1 liter of cow milk. What kind of question is that? Anyways, throughout the show, her and Big Sis show some decent chemistry, but sadly she had to see Big Sis blow up into chunks. As soon as she saw that, she turns the fuck up, but this other girl trolls her by playing fucking hot potato with her, which leads to her ultimate demise. GG's, I'll put you in B tier too. Next up we got Kazuya Mishima over here. Based off first impressions, I thought he was going to be the sub-villain because, I mean, look at the dude. He looks mad pissed for no reason. And then it turns out he's a Yakuza member, so no one really wants to fuck with the dude. I've seen a Yakuza member in real life when I went to an onsen in Japan. Shit was unsettling, I can't even lie. But anyways, yeah, he draws the first blood in the zombie game and starts beating the fuck out of all the zombies. Toward the end, he faces Nobu and turns into a zombie. At first, he's like, ah, fuck me. But Nobu's like, don't trip, OG, I got you. The zombie team wins. Kazuya realizes that he got saved and slowly turns into a more redeemable person. In the can kicking game, he tries his best to save the squad. In the end, he tries to be the last one in by electric wind god fisting, 10-hit comboing everyone around him, but it wasn't enough. Not the most complex character, but he was one of the very few characters that was somewhat admirable. Low-key gave me some Agony vibes. I'll put him in A tier. Alright, moving on to the siblings, starting with the dude. So yeah, he's from Usagi's group, and let's keep it real. Arisu's squad was way cooler than Usagi's group. Besides the train nerd dude, everyone else was lame as fuck, including this dude and his sister. Like in the last game, that future room shit, apparently this dude has no real goals and aspirations in his own life because his future is entirely dependent on his sister. Like, bro, you really want to see your sister get dicked down that bad? Also, he's one of the few people who starts inting Arisu's plan. Like when Rei is stuck in that panic lockdown room, Arisu asks him to go to the other room to get Rei out, and he's like, roger that. And then proceeds to do the exact opposite, saying some copium ass shit like, if Arisu was in our position, he'd do the same trust. And then he gets separated from his sister, runs out of points, then dies. Like, rest in peace, I guess. Yeah, not the biggest fan of this character. We'll go to C tier. Alright, next is Yuna, the sister. Same with her, she doesn't have much exciting going on. She's hoping to marry this dude and live a happily ever after type shit. That's cool, but can you use some of your points, please? You still have a shit ton while your brother is literally pulling a Jesus Christ, sacrificing his entire points for your ass. Also, she hinted when she was supposed to go with Rei in that one room, but sees her dead brother in the other room and darts out. Honestly, a reasonable reaction, but still a throw nonetheless. Thanks to Arisu, she gets to live and frolic with her boyfriend or whatever. But yeah, now she's going to C tier alongside her brother. Alright, next up is Tetsu, and not gonna lie, he was so damn close to reaching GOAT status. So we first get introduced to him in the Fire Arrows game, and he's already higher than the damn Tokyo Towers. He might be a tweaker, but he's still pretty cool. He fixes up Shion not because he's a doctor, but because he saw other doctors while he was frequent in the hospitals for overdosing so much. Good for him, I guess. And yeah, he becomes a solid member of Arisu's squad. When Arisu gets injured after that subway accident, everyone's like, Tetsu, please fix him. And he's like, bro, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I ain't no doctor. And then he takes a swig of that Everclear and manages to resurrect Arisu. Like, sir, that wasn't for you to drink, but if it works, it works. He's a real gentleman too, saving Sachiko in the can game as he says, ladies first. Man, his character was going so well, and then they did him so fucking dirty in the future room shit. The room showed visions of him finally getting employed and spending time with his ex-wife Yukiko. But on the other side, they show him visions of him doing drugs and fucking bitches. And yeah, Tetsu starts tweak maxing as he experiences crazy withdrawals on some Minsu shit. And yeah, the vision of the huzz and the red dress leads him to the room that's -8 fucking points for some reason. That was so bullshit, like, fuck you mean 8 points? When Tetsu heard that shit, he was like, yeah, I'm cooked. Man, why'd they do him like this? Tetsu, lock the fuck in. You're thinking with the wrong head here. Moral of the story is, do not choose lust over love, my friends. I expected better from Tetsu's character. He was like, I can change, I can change. But realistically speaking, most addicts do have a good chance of relapsing like this, so it does make sense. I just wish it didn't happen to him. Not a fan of how they ended his character, but overall he was one of the more enjoyable in the group, so I'll have to put him in A tier. Alright, next up is Nobu, the kid who attempted self-deletion. Your mistake was that you cut your wrist horizontally and not vertically. Alright, I'm playing, that's fucked up. But anyway, yeah, this dude got one of the easiest fucking questions in the Fortunes game, which was the Roman numeral question, and he still got it wrong. I was low-key SMHing my head, but I'll let it slide. Then during the zombie game, Ikeno pressures him to kill one of the zombies, which is pretty unfortunate. Towards the end, he saves Kazuya as mentioned before, and he was pretty cooperative for the most part until he ditches Tetsu in that one room. I was like, boy, where the fuck are you going? But I mean, kinda understandable, because he's getting PTSD from him getting bullied. Like that one vision where he's forced to speedrun his liver failure by chugging like 4 different bottles. That's that toxic Japanese drinking culture where you're out getting shit-faced on a Tuesday night after a 10-hour shift. That's why you see all these motherfuckers in Shinjuku nearly passed out. Anyways, he survives till the end, and we see him sharing a good moment with his mom. Looks like he finally graduated. Good for him. He seems like a good, genuine kid. Character concept-wise, he was alright. Nothing too special. I'll put him in B tier. Moving on, we have Sachiko, who's the woman that apparently married Chris Brown because she's out here getting her shit rocked on the regular. Anyway, she got the birthday probability question, and for those of you who want to know why the answer is 23, I'll explain it since I learned it in a probability theory course. If you want to skip it, then you can skip to the timestamp posted on the screen. Let's say P of B is the probability of event B that denotes that there's at least one same birthday. This would be the complement of P of A, where A is the event that every birthday is unique, which would be shown as such. So we basically need P of B to be at least 50%, which means P of A should be no more than 50%. So P of A is denoted by this equation right here. We multiply these fractions because probability of X and Y happening is probability of X times probability of Y. For example, when you're flipping a coin, the probability of flipping heads 2 in a row is 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4. You can also visualize it this way. heads, 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 tails, 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 and tails, heads, where heads, heads is the one out of the 4 options. So back to the birthday. So the first term here is the first person in the room. The probability of the second person having a different birthday would be 364 divided by 365. The probability of the third person having a different birthday would be 363 over 365, and so on. N is the number of people, assuming n is less than or equal to 365, since if it's above 365, there's no fucking shot everyone can have different birthdays. And we do minus n plus 1, since the number we subtract is 1 less than the number of person. Like for the second person, we subtracted 1. So for P of A to not exceed 50%, n has to be 23. When n is 23, P of A is 49.3%, which means P of B is 50.7%. Honestly, these probability courses were all bullshit. I hated them. I'm so glad I'm not doing them anymore. But back to the character. So yeah, she's pretty chill. She's like, man, I sure wish I had a husband like Arisu who prioritizes me and loves me instead of someone who uses me as a sandbag. In the can game, she got to go in the elevator first thanks to the squad, but now she's trapped in the elevator having to watch everyone explode into pieces. She was a nice person too. At this point, I just appreciate her for supporting the team and not inting. But yeah, not much content and development in this character as well. That's why I spent more time talking about mathematics instead of her. I'll put her in B tier too though, just an alright character. Alright, next up we got Rei, looking like Takemi from Persona 5. Looking like, I cook cream soup, tastes Coco Loco. Anyways, when she first comes up and I heard her tone, I was like, fuck me, not this Jack of Hearts girl bullshit again. Thankfully, she only keeps that image up for a bit and later becomes pretty chill. During the zombie game, her original plan was to build a trust system where if you get infected, you promise the other person to use a vaccine on them. However, shit goes out of hand once Ikeno decides to kill the zombies instead. Then at the end, she tries to convince Ikeno to turn into a zombie, but jukes him hella hard, because it turns out that she was never a zombie, she just wanted to build this barricade of trust to stay protected. Her conversation with Arisu was probably the most interesting part of this episode. She originally thought that humans could win since zombies would be scared of getting shot, but later realizes that zombies can grow in numbers exponentially. At first I was thinking, why doesn't everyone just become a zombie? That way no one has to die. But I guess no one wanted to risk getting shot by some crazy ass motherfucker. Anyway, she thanks Arisu for saving her and then becomes a cooperative member of the team. In the Future Room game, it is revealed that she loves anime and is trying to work in animation. She gets mentally tortured in that one locked room, like beep beep, you can't be a part of our anime club, or some shit like that. I was like, yo, can someone get her out already? But nah, the fucking siblings decided to sell the squad. And then at the end, she ends up getting a new job where she would be working in anime movie production. W for her, but AI is probably going to replace her soon. All in all, one of the more interesting characters. Definitely stood out more in the zombie game compared to the rest of the games though. I'll still put her in A tier. Alright, next up is the Watchman. And sorry, what was the point of this character again? He tells Arisu to play his rigged-ass game and proceeds to have the most boring conversation in the show. Like, he's just a depressed, doomer-pilled unk trying to get Arisu to kill himself. Arisu's like, nah, I choose life. I want to be happy with Usagi. And he's like, but what if she's not there? Okay, unk, I guess that would be pretty fucking sad. Is that what you want to hear? Also, he wants everyone to die, but he doesn't want to die himself. Like, what is this guy on, man? He's basically just a scuffed version of the frontman. Would have been a lot better if Banda replaced this guy's role, but now this guy just slimes Banda and proceeds to put me to sleep. He's going to D tier. Alright, we're almost at the end. Let's move on to one of the 3 main characters in the show, starting with Ryuji, the Happy Wheels character. I'll be honest, y'all, I didn't really fuck with this dude. I do think he's a complex and somewhat intriguing character, as he is trying his best to research the world beyond death. And the introduction to his character was pretty fire too. Like when he's playing Old Maid, he does that reverse psychology shit and manipulates the other guy to take the card that's not the Joker. That was sick as fuck. I do the exact same strat when I'm playing Exploding Kittens and someone's trying to take my diffuse card. I was about to start clapping, and then he proceeds to fuck everything by taking Usagi with him to the Borderlands. Alright, now he done fucked up. Bro, that laser game, he's literally out here playing Happy Wheels. Physically speaking, he should not have survived any of the games because he's just defying all laws of physics. In the train game, he somehow monkey bars to the other train. Maybe skipping leg days and doing all upper body does have its benefits. By the way, no one should have survived that train game. Like, how did they just cut through the air resistance and jump into the train? But I mean, it's the Borderlands. Nothing makes sense in this world, so we'll move on. Without Usagi, this man was so cooked. I sure hope he's not considering shooting her with the gun. Oh, alright, never mind then. Like, I get that there's a lot going on in his mind during the games, like he really wants to know more about the Borderlands, but this guy's behavior was just all over the place. He saves Usagi by yeeting his wheelchair in between the door, and then tries to shoot her but doesn't, then drags her ass to the whirlpool to die, then saves her again and sacrifices himself. Like, am I supposed to hate this guy or thank this guy? It's up to you guys whether or not you want to appreciate his inner conflict, but my biggest gripe with this character was that he was just touching Usagi way too much. Like, back off, that's my girl. I mean, that's Arisu's girl, man. His backstory too was kind of bare bones. Like, he just kind of kills his student. But I mean, hey, she was sort of asking for it. Anyways, yeah, I'd suggest Ryuji to give up on his research and turn to a religion instead. I think that might solve his problems. In conclusion, he had a good foundation, but I did not like him as a character. He'll go to C tier. Alright, my favorite power couple in the show, starting with Usagi. Man, I was so happy to see her and Arisu again, but I was very surprised they were already married when this show started. Like, goddamn, that was fast. I really liked Usagi in the show, but now that I think about it, I do think it's because of season 1 and 2 bias. Here are some minor issues I found with Usagi's character. First of all, I know she's still struggling with her dad's death, but I feel like they only brought that back to have a reason for her to return to the Borderlands, cause why else would she leave Arisu in the dust like that? Like, she was such a strong character in the previous seasons and now she's tripping out again. Also, they didn't really do a good job emphasizing the relationship between Usagi and her dad in the previous seasons, so when the issue is brought up again, I had a hard time actually empathizing with her, even though the situation is conceptually sad, if that makes sense. Also, not a fan of how protective she was of Ryuji. Like, when Arisu punches him in the face, she's like, "Hey, stop, he helped me." Ma'am, you should jog your memory again, cause from what I've seen, you carried him in pretty much every single game, dodging lasers and climbing towers and shit. But fine, he was part of your team, so whatever. Besides that though, I still liked her on screen as mentioned before. She was really cool during her games, and I was genuinely invested in her and Arisu. Not as good as season 1 or 2, but I will still put her in S tier above all these other characters. Finally, we get to my GOAT, Arisu. First of all, congratulations, you finally found yourself a fucking job. I'll be real, he carried this entirety of season 3. I personally think they did a really good job developing his character. He seems more confident, more mature, more sharp, more caring. I always found it very entertaining when he doesn't know what the fuck to do. Then he starts massaging his head, telling himself, "Think, motherfucker, think," and then proceeds to explain everything to save everyone's ass. During the zombie game, he's kinda in the background most of the time, and it turns out he was a zombie from the start. What a G. In the train game, his team somehow makes it to the end, while Usagi's team is sweating balls. The future game, he's trying his best to carry the team despite several members inting, and he pulls a Kihun trying to sacrifice himself at the end to save everyone, but the game's like, nah, don't worry fam, you're not dying. He saves Usagi at the end and lives happily ever after. Put him in S tier. Matter of fact, I'm putting him in S plus tier, as he is quite literally the only reason why I kept watching the show. Man, I might be Mr. Banda the way I'm glazing Arisu. Alright, that's it for the tier list. Now time for a quick review. So I would briefly summarize Alice in Borderland 3 as not really necessary, but kinda cool, I guess. In my opinion, I think it's very hard to write good, compelling characters in 6 short episodes. That's why a lot of the characters were just okay at best. Like, they were promising but didn't have much development for the most part. If you liked Alice in Borderland 1 and 2 for the games, then I do think you could like Season 3 because it is quite literally more Alice in Borderland. But the games this season were a hit or miss in my opinion. The first game was alright, but the questions were just random trivia questions, not very interesting. The zombie game was by far the most fun in the show. The train game was bullshit because it was literally RNG. The laser in the Tokyo Tower game wasn't really all that. And the future game was conceptually cool, but it felt very dragged and boring at times. Also, the fact that the future visions kept contradicting should have alerted the players that it's all bullshit, and players randomly losing points in the game was stupid too. Besides Arisu and Usagi, the thing that stood out the most in Season 3 was the visuals. Like, the scenes and the set design were very impressive. As for the Joker card, I would have preferred if someone like Banda where the Watchman was a Joker. Now, let me talk about the ending. That shit went from the coolest shit ever to the lamest shit ever so fast I was actually amazed. Seeing all the characters again from the previous season put the fattest smile on my face, except for hey, I still don't like her. And then that smile quickly faded as they decided to fuck me by pulling another Squid Game. Also, that conversation those two NPCs had about the NBA Finals, you're joking me, right? This year was the best NBA Finals since 2010? First of all, OKC is lame, Shea's a foul-baiting ass hoe, and second of all, Halliburton was injured. And third of all, this guy must be a Kobe fan, cause have we not seen Curry versus LeBron? Unbelievable script writing. And yeah, the final shot. This shit got me dead, bro. I thought this was a good idea. All in all, I think season 3 was alright. If you enjoyed it, then cool. If you hated it, then that's cool too. I just hope y'all like this video though, cause if not, I'll be really sad. Thanks for watching, y'all. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Special thank you to everyone who subbed. Leave a comment about your thoughts and I'ma pin the most liked comment after a week. Hope y'all have a good life. See ya.